It's good to have you here. I know you're in on a red eye, sitting next to a very muscular person. So you didn't get a lot of sleep. I appreciate you taking one for the team. Tell the folks here at Social Fresh, what does the Senior Content Marketing Manager for LinkedIn do? That sounds very complicated.
So what I do, I lead global content marketing for LinkedIn Marketing Solutions. And a lot of people might wonder, what the hell is LinkedIn doing with content marketing? And again, it was I was doing content and social over at Marketo, as you well know, and had a lot of success there in the B2B space, and then kind of brought over what I did at Marketo to building up this content machine for LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is going all in with content marketing at the moment. It's very important. The members are really looking for original content, and it's a great place to reach the professional mindset.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I'm sure everybody here at Social Fresh has experienced LinkedIn's shift towards content over the last 12 to 24 months maybe, and it's really noticeable and obvious, not just in one way, but in a number of different ways, that LinkedIn has sort of purposefully gone from what really, I'm not trying to be dismissive, but really was electronic business cards and Rolodex to this content publishing platform that not only businesses can use, but individual business people. What's the strategy behind that? It's not really a social network, maybe in the classic sense that we think about, but it seems to me to be more of a content network. Where's LinkedIn headed?
That's a really good question, and we talk about this a lot. And again, as I mentioned before, we found that our members, we've traditionally been known as this online resume, right? But it's so much more than that, because we found that our members are consuming content in record numbers, right? In fact, our content pages get 7 times the views that our job pages do. So it just shows that there's a need for professionally relevant content. I look at it like this. I use the other social networks as well. So, but we kind of look at it like you spend time on Facebook, but you invest time on LinkedIn, and that's what we find our members do. They're there to consume content that inspires them, to make them better at what they do, to prepare them for maybe their next job position, to get their news, to know what's going on in their network. You can think of it almost like a real-time, personalized, relevant newspaper, right? Or news feed for you. You wake up in the morning. Check your feed. You know exactly what's buzzing in the people you're connected to, what's buzzing with the companies you follow. And again, it's reaching a different mindset. It's the professional mindset. And that's where these folks are on LinkedIn. That's where they're at. They're consuming the content in record numbers for us right now.
I really like the LinkedIn Pulse feature. I use it all the time, the recommendations of content from people that I'm connected to on the platform. It's one of the sources that I go to every day to find things that I should either share on LinkedIn or tweet or take cross-platform. It's really well done. You're seeing now more and more professionals across all walks of life, certainly in marketing, but other industries as well, publishing on LinkedIn, almost treating it like a blog, right? Now that you've opened up the ability to publish on LinkedIn to everybody. For a while, it was only for influencers, and now anybody can write on LinkedIn. Why would somebody want to do that?
Well, there's several reasons. People, there's a space, this is the year of personal branding, right? So you talk about, how do I build my personal brand? We can go out and start a blog, you start free WordPress, free blog, or whatever. But at the end of the day, you need somewhere for this content to live. And in this case, you can attach it to your personal profile. Now, I know Jay said we're going to have a don't tweet this moment. And again, I'm not...
this is the don't tweet this part of the presentation. On the live stream,
when you're publishing on LinkedIn, it's not open to all the members yet, but it's open to a lot of them, so come see me if you're interested. But you can republish content in there, right? So it doesn't have to be original content, even though we would love and recommend you have new content in there, fresh content. I've written 16 posts so far and gotten over 116,000 views, and that's just from my own network, right? But again, it's about publishing content in a place where you can share it with your network, attach it to your personal online identity, and again, these don't have to be 5,000-word Moz.com post where you're sitting around all day answering comments. I mean, this could be, I call it the 300-word, Seth Godin punch in the face blog. One brilliant idea, one quick note, and just share it with your network, and it's living there. And again, if you have a personal blog and it's living there, it's a great place to syndicate your own content and then attach it to your online profile.
So you take a blog post that you've written on your own, whatever your blog is, and then you take the best of those blog posts and then you republish those on the LinkedIn platform, because you will reach conceivably a different audience or a different cross-section of audience on the LinkedIn platform than you would on your own assets.
Exactly, and when you post on LinkedIn, the publishing platform, there's an algorithm that goes through, and if you get a spike, if it senses this is an article that's getting some traction, it has the potential to get tagged into Pulse. So once it gets tagged into Pulse, like put your seatbelt on, man, because that could go out. You could go from 700 views to 17,000 views in 24 hours. My friend Travis Wright wrote a post, and he had 1 million views on this thing. It was one of the biggest posts we'd ever seen. And another thing, the influencer program is separate than this. The influencer program is 500 thought leaders, and that's a specific, certain subset of the publishers. But what's really interesting is that there was a guy who was publishing almost every couple of days original content, and he got so many views that he got upgraded.
We have a serious E problem over here. Thank you. We had a.
But anyway, so his content was getting so much engagement that he was the first person we put into the publishing platform, and just a great blogger out there. So Jay, speak of it, we did an little experiment on LinkedIn Publishing with the post that I did for you.
That's right. That's right.
I wrote a post called 7 Reasons Your LinkedIn Profile is a Hot Mess, and I published.
Good headline. If you can put hot mess in a headline, I really recommend it. It works great.
And me and Jess and I wanted to start the Hot Mess podcast after that because I thought that'd be fun. Anyway, but Jay was gracious enough to let me guest blog on Convince and Convert. Did really well, and like almost a year later, I took that content with Jay's permission, and sourced it and said originally posted on Convince and Convert and put it into LinkedIn, and I think it's up to like almost another 10,000 views or something.
It's amazing. Is there any issues, some people who are kind of old school SEOs would be thinking right now, hey, but what about the duplicate content issues there? What is your take on that? I mean, if you're going to take a blog post that you've already written and republish it on LinkedIn, do you need to change the headline, change 20% of the copy? What's your advice there?
Well, again, don't tweet this because this is new stuff, man. The publishing platform is new. I think we're still figuring this out, how it works and the best practices. You can't do HTML code in there. But to answer your question specifically, from what I understand with the Hummingbird update, I'm not allowed to talk about Google either, so the search engines, we'll say the search engines, they're smart enough to know where that post was published first. So they'll say this is the original author. No longer do you have to put the original author tags in there anymore. I'm really obsessed with this SEO content intersection now. So no longer you have to put all these tags in there saying original author. The search engines know where that article was published first. So there's no danger of losing the original author. But what I could see happening is the possibility that you might outrank yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah. Because LinkedIn's audience is bigger than your audience in almost every case. Probably every case, in theory.
Yeah. So, but again, it depends. I mean, you own the content.
But is that the worst thing in the world?
You could have 2 spots on there, right?
Exactly.
And you could get a nice link back. So
I mean, if you search for LinkedIn profile hot mess, probably both of the times you wrote that post are gonna rank.
Well, you're still number 1. That Facebook one I wrote, still hot mess, man. That's it. That's a keyword query that.
One of the search engines that start with a G, they love me. I don't know which one it is. One of them.
So yeah, absolutely. It's another space, though. It's another spot on that that could you potentially rank on the front page.
I'm super excited for your talk here tomorrow at Social Fresh. What time do you talk tomorrow?
10:30 a.m.
10:30 a.m. Make sure you're here. Jason's going to talk about. We're chatting about blogging right now, which is mostly a text medium still. But he's going to talk about the power of infographics and visuals and SlideShare. Just by show of hands, how many people here know that SlideShare is owned by LinkedIn?
Bless you again.
Just a few, yeah. So SlideShare is owned by LinkedIn. It's not fully integrated in a unified branding sense, but I believe that SlideShare and to a lesser degree podcasts are the most underutilized communications tools in all of content marketing. I know you agree. Do you want to elaborate on that and give people a little tease for what you're going to talk about tomorrow?
Yeah, SlideShare is a terribly underutilized platform, especially in the B2B space. But it's a great opportunity. People call it a content repository, and I hate the word repository. It's terrible. But I say it's a platform for visual content thought leadership, right? Infographics, SlideShare decks.
It's YouTube for thinking, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've seen people, and I'll talk about this tomorrow. I've seen some examples of people taking a white paper and turning it into a SlideShare deck. And it just, it does record numbers. And it just goes to show that not only is your audience or your prospects and customers in control of the type of content they want and the channel, but you better have it in multiple formats for them. So SlideShare is free, so you can sign up for an account And you can certainly put up your webinar slide presentations and whatnot. But what we've really seen great success with companies is when they actually create something specifically for it. And you did this with utility. I remember I used a couple examples from utility. How you did. You could not go anywhere without seeing utility somewhere. And I saw SlideShare snippets in there designed specifically for SlideShare.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fantastic.
It's funny you say that. I just this week launched a new podcast called Jay Today, which is a daily 3-minute video podcast, and I have a SlideShare launch of that podcast where one of the things that you can do on SlideShare that people don't talk about very much is you can weave YouTube videos into it. So it says, here's episode 1 of the podcast, and it's a slide, and then you advance, and it's the YouTube video of that episode. Here's episode 2, episode 3, episode 4. And so it's a combination SlideShare, launch document, YouTube video mashup, and you just almost never see people taking advantage of it. Maybe as the senior content marketing manager, you ought to be telling more people about SlideShare.
I do, and I don't want to give away too much tomorrow, but I promise you come by, see me tomorrow morning. I've got some really cool stats and some numbers and some tips and tricks, some mobile stuff. I'm really I love the mobile asset of this content right now and big visuals in the feed, so I talk a lot about that.
Well, that's the thing. SlideShare works great on a phone.
We just launched the app, too. They got a
really
mobile
nice.
app now.
Yeah.
So.
Last thing I want to wrap up with, and then we'll move on for the program, and we'll come back with more from Jason tomorrow, is in addition to his work with LinkedIn and as one of the best content marketers on the planet, Jason is also a very, very, very fantastic photographer, and his specialty is taking photographs of rock musicians under the auspices of his brand Rock and Roll Cocktail. So maybe tell folks what your life is really like after 5 o'clock, almost every day. He's living the dream, living the dream.
So yeah, I'm in that camp of I do too many things at one time. So I used to be in the music industry years ago. I worked at Sony Music for 12 years, and we were with baby bands back in the day, and we would go on tour with them, Incubus, Korn, System of a Down. I'm a metal guy, right? So even Celine Dion.
Celine Dion and Korn, always an amazing combo. There's one of the most amazing shows ever.
I was at the opening night Celine Dion in Vegas. I won a contest with the CEO or with the CEO of Scorch, and I tell you what, because I won this contest, I paired Celine Dion with Pepperidge Farm cookies, and my tagline. You ready for this? This is 2000.
Celine Dion's a hot mess?
No. It was a distinctive cookie for a distinctive artist, and I won this trip.
I
was sitting between Oprah and Barry Manilow. I'm not kidding. And Chris leaned over to me afterwards, and he said, he had a little tear in his eye. This is the CEO of Scorch, so please tweet him about this. He goes, that was the best show I've ever seen in my life. And he said, don't tell anybody I cried. But it was produced by Cirque du Soleil. Anyway, so make a long story short, if I haven't already passed that point, I left the music industry because there was just some really bad decisions being made, and I went into tech marketing. And to keep my tie to music, I started writing this music blog, and that's actually how I got into content marketing. Somebody saw this crappy music blog and said, this kid can actually write. And now it's transformed into this personal branding thing, and so I shoot concert photography. But I got crazy about this because you get in the photo pit, and my first photo shoot was Motley Crue, and it was so bad. I was next to the guy from Rolling Stone. It was so bad that I vowed to master low-light photography. And so last weekend I was shooting Kiss, some of the most amazing photos I ever did because these guys posed for you. I shot Chevelle. Shot Filter the other day. There's a little test tomorrow in the opening slide presentation, and I brought a couple of my T-shirts to throw out too, so get here early. But yeah, so rockandrollcocktail.com. I think I just spent more time talking about rock and roll photography.
Okay, it's personal branding. It's the year of personal branding, right? So
it's just something that I love to do, and it's hours and hours of this stuff. But I write, and it gets my chops up. I see a lot of music, and then it ties back into. I'm the only person in LinkedIn history to use Kiss quotes in my EBCs and presentations to senior exec staff and quote punk rock Jello Biafra.
They will remember you in the halls of LinkedIn for a long, long time. Jason, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you again tomorrow. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Jason Miller.